If I had to make a list of my personal favorite games, the order would change every time you ask. I think that's how it is for most people. However, a handful of titles would always stand on top. In my case, mostly RPGs like New Vegas or Disco Elysium. But there are a few outliers to that trend, like the original Deus Ex or Prey from 2017. Sure, these games have RPG elements, but they are mainly categorized as immersive sims. Best known examples would be System Shock or the Thief games, and of course Deus Ex. Sadly, it's one of those genres that had their prime in the late 90s and early 2000s, and then it kind of teetered off. There are exceptions, of course, like the Dishonored series, Prey or Deathloop, all made by Arcane Studios, by the way. But really, fans of the immersive sim genre aren't exactly overwhelmed with options. So for a while now, it's been the indie scene that kept things afloat, though there aren't many games I'd consider must-plays. As a quirk of the genre itself, developing a good immersive sim requires a little more than meets the eye. It's similar to the Souls-likes, which are abundant, but few capture what made the Souls series so compelling in the first place. But during the last Christmas sale, I finally bought a game I actually had my eyes on for a hot minute, and I was very positively surprised. Gloomwood, a gothic horror-themed immersive sim created by David Szymanski and Dylan Rogers. If you think one of those names sounds oddly familiar, it's probably because David is one of those solo devs out there that really understand what makes a certain genre. He's also the creator behind Dusk, that retro-looking shooter that old-school FPS nerds like to rant about how good it is, and Iron Lung, a game that has garnered quite a bit of attention on YouTube, as well as a few more. The first time I heard about Gloomwood was in a video by CV11, one of my favorite channels on YouTube. Yes, I'm doing shoutouts to way bigger channels now. That was 2 years ago. The game has come a long way since then. In fact, the early access build is so different from the 2020 demo, you don't even get to play in the same level from the demo, but what I assume will be a section way earlier in the final game story. But it also has a long way to go, but we'll get to that. The game has now been in early access since September 2022. At first I was very hesitant to buy it because I tend to avoid early access titles in general. Thankfully, the last winter sale on Steam has helped me decide on my purchase, so I am yet to have regrets. Why did I say that with an accent? I'ma leave this in. Gloomwood features David's, at this point, signature early 2000s style graphics, although polished up a lot more than his previous games, especially with the model work and lighting. And if David can do one thing, it's create an atmosphere. Especially in conjunction with the ambient work by TLR. You know I like to appreciate the soundtrack wizards. Another great feature, or I guess lack thereof, is the HUD. There is none besides a crosshair, which is hard to do without. Your inventory isn't a set of grids stuck to your face, it's a briefcase, a physical object that needs to be placed within the world and requires some space to be put down. Or similarly cool is how you check your ammo. You literally open up your gun and check the bullets. I love shit like that. And all that stuff is all well and good, but what really matters is the gameplay. I put that in quotes in the script, I don't know why, that made me say it weird. What really defines an immersive sim is a pretty simple concept. Giving the player a goal, creating obstacles to said goal, then give the player tools to overcome the obstacles. How fun this is depends on the systems of the game and the tools at the player's disposal. The more ways to deal with an obstacle, the better, usually. Gloomwood masters this mainly through its level design. The coastal town is beautifully vertical in design, and your character can climb any ledge he can realistically reach with a jump. During my first playthrough, I would frequently come across paths that made me actually giddy from the simple realization that, oh wow, I could have just done that. And I will remember those moments for my next playthrough, or if I ever have to go back for save scumming. We'll also get to that. I came across locked doors I couldn't find the key for, only to eventually open them from the other side and realizing how the path I took connects back to where I was 20 minutes ago. And that shit is just a great feeling. But obviously, you can't just climb around and explore without a previously mentioned obstacle. The town is filled with the so-called huntsmen, these twisted humanoids that roam the streets and houses and fish canneries of this town. You can go through the game guns blazing, but ammunition is rare, and your only other means of defense is your trusty cane sword. As a weapon, it may be very cool and stylish and whatnot, but it doesn't really do a lot of damage. Unless you crouch down, slowly stalk your prey, charge up a stab and... yeah, this will never get old. Stealth is obviously one of the major aspects of this game besides the exploration. Very akin to the Thief games in many ways. Floor surfaces determine how loud your steps are, leaning around corners and throwing empty bottles to lure the huntsman into dark corners for that.
My clumsy friend.
Yeah. And another stroke of genius I just kinda wanna gush about real quick personally. The majority of the game happens along the coast, at least in the current available content, and in this somewhat distance is a lighthouse that also happens to be your destination for this current build of the game. It's plenty dark along the docks and the cover is abundant, but every time that the lighthouse swings over in your direction, you are as exposed as a Logan Paul CryptoZoo scam. This isn't gonna age this video horribly at all. I know this isn't really a new concept or anything, but it's just something that, you know, I love that kind of shit. It's just one of those ideas that make this game feel more than the sum of its parts. But it can't all be just peaches and cream all the time.
If you have peaches and it's just all peaches and cream all the time, it'd just be a dessert, you dungo.
I was gonna bring up two of my main gripes as well. My first gripe has been addressed in an update, but only on the highest difficulty setting. You save the game by interacting with these gramophones you can find throughout the town. The main issue here being you can at any point just turn around and backtrack to the last save point. It makes the game a little too easy, and at times it feels like it actively encourages save scumming in certain areas of the map. Playing on the recently added Blood Moon difficulty adds wax cylinders, working the same way the ink ribbons did in the Resident Evil games, but I'd honestly wish these would be required in other difficulties as well. At least the second highest maybe. Now, you can already activate quick saves in higher difficulties by editing the config files. I just wish you could do the same thing with the wax cylinders. I guess the game isn't too much into the commitment angle. It won't require you to put on a ring anytime soon.
You stay out of the light. You have many enemies here. The darkness will shroud you.
What's that footage doing here? Secondly, but more importantly, this game is an early access title. And as I mentioned before, it's been over 2 years since I first saw footage of this game. It's only been in early access for a few months, but that doesn't quite excuse it. The development is slow. Even some basic accessibility options are still grayed out, and it's somewhat to be expected given it's a game made by 2 guys, but if you decide to buy the game, just keep that in mind. I do not regret my purchase in the slightest, but I can't, in good conscience, fully recommend an early access game without at least bringing attention to the fact that it might not be finished for another few years. Yeah. To summarize, Gloomwood is one of the best entries in the genre yet, though still being unfinished. I can't 100% recommend it to everyone yet, simply because of its early access status, but I see very great potential, and I hope it garners some popularity and success. Not just because Szymanski and Dylan would deserve it, but also because I wouldn't mind a possible resurgence of immersive sims, which is really the main reason why I even made this video. Games like these can serve as a great example on what to do. Maybe bring a niche genre into the public eye, or at the very least provide us with an experience that we don't get that often anymore. So really, this video exists purely to bring this game to the attention of you, the hypothetical viewer who has never heard of this game before, even though it might be right up your alley. And if you like what you saw here, consider checking out more about the game, and remember to support your local indie devs. Thanks for watching everyone, and Happy New Year. I wanted to make this style of video for a while now, but I was just occupied with other things, mainly procrastinating. But new year, new work ethic maybe? I don't know. Also, more music is coming. I made plenty, I just didn't finish anything, like usual. But you can check out my SoundCloud actually. I tend to throw my unfinished stuff on there a lot, and sometimes it gets finished. So that's basically like a preview to my shit. Also, like I said, I want to make more videos like this one in particular in the future. It's just something that I enjoy making. I'm still figuring out if I want to do reviews or essays. I don't even know what you would classify this as. I guess it's just a very short and basic review. But yeah, you just tell me how you liked it. I hope you enjoyed it, and like I said, check out the game. Thanks again for watching. Bye bye.